Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new video. A little while ago I was thinking of all the useless jewelry pieces that I had never heard of before. So today I'm going to be having a look at 10 of the most useless jewelry pieces in Oldschool Runescape. Now about half of these alone are silver jewelry, however there are some more obscure ones that have actually been in the game for a while but just are not used because they're useless or only for very niche scenarios. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoy and let's get started. So I have tried to organize these in somewhat of an order, so 10 is going to be the most useful item, and number 1 will be the most useless item in game. So coming in at number 10 is the Ring of Forging. You can make a Ring of Forging by enchanting a ruby ring with the level 3 enchant spell. So what this does is when you smelt iron ore, it gives a 100% success rate. However, after 140 iron ores, it will be destroyed. Now on the surface, this seems pretty useful because normally when you smelt iron ore, it's only a 50% success rate. However, nowadays with blast furnace being the main way people train smithing and the blast furnace giving you 100% success rate anyway, this is pretty useless overall. This would be potentially useful on an Ironman account, especially since uncut rubies don't have a lot of use beyond making the amulet of strength. So that's why I put it at number 10. Not really useful on a regular account, but there could be some niche uses for Ironman and maybe other account types. Coming in at number 9 is the Ring of Returning. You make a Ring of Returning by enchanting a jade ring via the level 2 enchant spell. Now what the Ring of Returning does is when you rub it, the player will be teleported to their current respawn point. So you can only have one teleport on this ring at once, and you're limited to teleport to Lumbridge, Camelot, Falador, or Edgeville. The most useful here clearly being Edgeville because there is not a regular spellbook teleport there. However, the fact that this ring only has 5 charges and we already have the Amulet of Glory that teleports right there and doesn't get destroyed after 5 uses makes this ring not particularly useful. The ring is floating around 200 GP per charge or 200 GP per teleport, which is reasonably cheap and might be even cheaper than the Amulet of Glory, but probably not by much, and the hassle of having to get a new ring every time where the Amulet of Glory just needs to be recharged. Also, you would need to pay 5 mil to unlock the Edgeville respawn point, and on top of that you would have your home teleport spell available every 30 minutes anyway, making this kind of obsolete. Coming in at number 8 is the Inoculation Bracelet. You make an Inoculation Bracelet by enchanting a ruby bracelet with a level 3 enchant spell. So the Zogre Flesh Eating quest is a requisite for the bracelet to be worn, and what it does is when it's equipped, it protects the wearer for a total of 275 disease damage. Players will still get diseased, but it reduces the damage that you'd normally take, and it will degrade to dust once the 275 disease damage has been dealt. I'm putting this at number 8 because disease damage is annoying. However, it's such a niche use that you would only really need this like once. As far as I'm aware, you can only get disease in one quest, and while it's annoying, it does not by any means really affect you that much. It just randomly lowers skill stats. So like it might lower your farming level by 5, and the next step is going to lower your thieving level by 5. Like it's an annoying mechanic, but it does not really inhibit you that much, and having a specific enchantable bracelet for it is just really not that useful. Coming in at number 7 is the Ring of Pursuit. The Ring of Pursuit is made by enchanting an opal ring with a level 1 enchant spell. When equipped, there is a 25% chance to reveal the entire track of hunter creatures caught via Noose Wand. Now this doesn't work for a herbivore. This would be so much more useful if it did. The ring will provide 10 charges before disappearing. Now I'm not saying this is useless, and while Kebits are part of normal training methods early game, once you get to level 50 you're going to start catching salamanders or chinchampas, or eventually a herbivore, which you can't use it at. It's not entirely useless, but it is used just mainly for early game hunter training, so that's why I put it at number 7. Coming in at number 6 is the Amulet of Nature. You get an Amulet of Nature by enchanting a level 2 Emerald Amulet with a magic string. The Amulet of Nature is used to monitor your farming patches. You have to bind it to one patch at a time and will remain bound until a different patch is used. Now this amulet will vibrate when one of your patches is diseased, which would allow you to run there and hopefully fix it in time. Now there are quite a few different mechanics in game to help you detect your patches. However, I personally just find it to be more work than it's worth. This might be useful for high level trees that you really don't want to die because the seeds are expensive, but for stuff like herb runs, it's just not worth your time to worry about this all the time. Just plant the herbs, and if one dies, whatever. It's just part of life. Coming in at number 5 is the Necklace of Faith. The Necklace of Faith is a topaz necklace enchanted via the level 3 enchant spell. What this necklace does is when you fall below 20% hit points, it will restore your prayer points by 10%. after the effect takes place, it will degrade to dust. Now, the main use of this I could see is to try to avoid getting smited. However, I think in most scenarios nowadays, when you are getting smited in the wilderness, you are getting piled by multiple people, in which case that 10% extra prayer point is not going to be very useful. I don't see anyone wearing this in PvM either, because you're losing out on an amulet slot, which gives you so many combat spats using a glory, a fury, torture, or anything. So yeah, its main job would be to avoid you getting smited, which I don't think is going to happen. I don't think anyone would use this in PvP either, because again, you're losing out on so many combat stats. Maybe if you swap into it for a hit, it could have some weird backdoor use, but I really doubt it. I think overall this necklace is totally useless, and probably would be a little bit better if you gained more prayer points back than 10%. Like, that's gonna be 10 prayer points maximum. So yeah, not very useful. Coming in at number 4 is the Castle Wars Bracelet. You get this by casting the level 2 enchant spell on an emerald bracelet. What this does is when a player wields this item at the moment they enter the game, they do an extra 20% damage against the bearer of the flag, and bandages heal 50% more, so it gives you a boost for the entire game, and you can switch off the amulet when you get into the game. So I was a little hesitant to put this on the list anywhere because I don't really play a lot of Castle Wars. I'm not really sure if this is useful or not. However, checking on the Grand Exchange, there's like none bought or sold, which is a pretty good indicator that nobody uses it. To begin with here, it is a mini game, so I understand Castle Wars has its own inherent rewards, which might be useful for some people, but almost all of the rewards from Castle Wars are cosmetic, so they don't really affect the main game at all, and clearly this amulet does not affect Castle Wars enough for people to buy it. Even if it is useful, it's not going to be providing you with any benefits that will transfer over to the main game that's not just useful within the scope of Castle Wars. Coming in at number 3 is Ephorida's Aid, which is a topaz ring enchanted with the level 3 enchant spell. When worn, the player will be able to attack vampiric creatures with any weapon, however damage will be capped at 15. The ring will provide 200 charges before disappearing, consuming 1 charge per attack. It does not work against Firewatch. So vampiric creatures are not slain that much to begin with. Firewatch would have been one of the only useful things for this, however it doesn't actually work against it. The fact that it caps your damage at 15 is also terrible. You're probably better off getting Evandi's Flail, or maybe even a silver weapon. Not to mention that the Temple Trekking minigame is not that useful to begin with. Maybe this might have a niche use in it, but overall I think it's a pretty useless ring. Coming in at number 2 is the Amulet of Bounty. The Amulet of Bounty is an opal amulet enchanted via the level 1 enchant spell. What it does is when it's equipped, there is a 25% chance for you to save seeds when planting them in allotment patches. It'll only provide 10 charges before disappearing. So the reason this is so useless is the fact that allotment seeds are almost all dirt cheap. So having a 25% chance to save a seed that could only be like 100 GP most of the time is just not going to be worth your time. Seems like almost nobody buys this off the Grand Exchange. Now if this affected herb seeds, it would be so much better, although it would probably be miles more expensive. Allotment patches for one aren't the most commonly planted patch. A lot of people do it. I'm not saying they're not planted at all. However, because the seeds are so cheap and allotment patches are lesser used, makes this almost entirely useless. Not to mention the selling cost on the Grand Exchange right now is like 3k, which would almost never be useful. And coming in at number 1 is the Ring of Stone. Now this could be interchanged for the Ring of Coins or the Ring of Nature. They all do a similar effect. However, the Ring of Stone is actually an enchantable ring, which is in line with the rest of these items. The Ring of Stone is made by enchanting an onyx ring with the level 6 enchant spell. What it does is change the avatar of the player to look like a stone. The Ring of Coins make you look like a stack of coins, and the Ring of Nature makes you look like a bush. So yes, I know some people use this to skull trick people in the wilderness, but on paper, it does absolutely nothing. It's funny, it's cool. I'm not saying it's not a desirable ring, but it's useless. And that's why it's coming in at number 1. Anyway guys, that is about it. Those are 10 of the most useless jewelry pieces I can find in RuneScape. If you can think of any others, please let me know. So now that I am back home from my 7-month trip to South America and I've had time to kind of settle back into my regular life, I've had time to start uploading to my YouTube channel a lot more frequently, and one more thing I wanted to start updating more frequently is my Patreon. So if you're ever looking for another way to support my channel, Patreon is an awesome way to do so. I'm going to be posting there more frequently with flipping logs from my account, small money-making methods or flipping tricks that I've found out throughout the months, as well as a few other community-oriented projects. If you are interested, there will be a link in the description and a info card at the end of this video. I appreciate you guys a lot. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.